Have you ever walked into a room and felt like a ghost, even though you were very much alive? People glance, then look away. Conversations stop. You feel the energy shift. It's not hatred. It's something deeper. You're not rejected for what you've done, but for who you are. If that resonates with you, listen carefully. You're not broken. You're not unlucky. You're just chosen. And there's a reason why chosen ones have no friends. Let's get one thing straight. Being chosen doesn't mean you're better than others. It means you've been marked for a higher path, a deeper mission, and a more intense transformation. And that kind of calling, it comes with a cost. You see, most people are drawn to familiarity. They want comfort, validation, sameness. But the chosen ones, they carry frequencies that shake people's illusions. Their presence alone exposes what others try to hide. Mediocrity, fear, ego. That's why your silence speaks louder than someone else's speech. That's why your existence alone triggers people who haven't done the inner work. It's not that people dislike you, it's that they don't understand you. And people fear what they cannot understand. That fear becomes distance. That distance becomes isolation. From a young age, chosen ones start to notice the pattern. The friend groups never feel like home. The laughter often feels fake. The "you can sit with us" eventually turns into whispers behind your back. And it leaves you wondering, what's wrong with me? But here's the truth. Nothing is wrong with you. The universe isolated you because it needed to protect your frequency from contamination. You're not meant to blend in. You're meant to awaken. Chosen ones often have incredibly high empathy. You feel deeply, think deeply, love deeply. But this depth intimidates people who live on the surface. Your questions are too real. Your eyes see too much. Your spirit feels too strongly. And in a world addicted to shallow connections, you become too intense. So people pull away. They say you're too sensitive, too serious, too much. But really, they're just not enough for your truth. This loneliness isn't punishment, it's preparation. You're not alone because you're unworthy of love. You're alone because you're being detoxed from fake love. The universe removes what's not aligned with your purpose because you're about to step into a realm where only the real can survive. Have you noticed how every time you try to open up to someone new, it backfires? You share your visions, your dreams, your truth, and suddenly, they either ghost you or start to compete with you. That's not your fault. It's energetic misalignment. They weren't sent to understand you. They were sent to reflect where you're no longer meant to go. Many chosen ones go through a season, sometimes years, of brutal loneliness. No best friends. No one to call when life breaks down. No crowd to hype you up. Just you. And silence. But it's in that silence where your power activates. The absence of others forces you to find presence in yourself. You learn to hear your soul again. You start building from within. And slowly, your connection to God, the universe, and your divine mission gets clearer. This is spiritual training. You were removed from distractions so you could remember your assignment. You were pulled out of circles that drained you so you could recharge in solitude. The isolation wasn't a curse, it was a cocoon. And what emerges from a cocoon? Transformation. You see, friendship isn't about quantity. It's about frequency, and your frequency is rare. That means your circle will be small. It might even be empty for a while. But when it does fill, trust me, it will be with those who are divinely aligned, not conveniently present. Most people can't handle authenticity. They prefer masks, roles, games. But chosen ones? We rip the masks off, speak raw truths, break societal scripts. And for that, we become outsiders. But outside is where the miracles happen. Even family may turn against you. Siblings won't understand you. Cousins may mock you. Parents might criticize your path. But again, that's because they only see the version of you that fits their past. They don't see the destiny that's about to unfold in your future. And sometimes, God makes you invisible to the very people you wish would see you, because their vision is too small to handle your expansion. Your detachment is not apathy, it's protection. You're being hidden for a season because your next level is sacred. And when you're chosen, you're not called to be liked. You're called to be light. Here's the paradox. The more you awaken, the more disconnected you may feel from the world. The higher your vibration, the fewer people you can relate to. But that doesn't mean you're alone. It means you're ahead. The crowd moves in patterns, but the chosen move in purpose. And here's the beautiful part. When you walk long enough on this isolated path, you start to meet others. Not many, but a few. Souls who speak your language without words, who feel familiar even though you've just met, who don't need explanations because they've walked through the same fire. These are your soul tribe, not found through effort, but through alignment. But they can only appear once you've shed the layers of people-pleasing, once you've embraced your path, and once you've stopped begging to be understood. Understand this. Being chosen is not about status. It's about service. And service requires strength. That strength is forged in solitude. So the next time you feel like you have no friends, no support, no place to belong, breathe. You're not lost. You're being positioned. Your path is narrow because your mission is massive. You are not meant to follow the crowd. You are meant to awaken it. And if no one claps for you, clap for yourself. If no one sees your light, keep shining anyway. Because soon, your light will call forth others who've been silently glowing in the dark, waiting for someone like you to remind them they're not alone. But here's where it gets even more real. Once you accept the loneliness, the silence becomes your sanctuary. You stop craving validation. You stop chasing connections that don't nourish you. You begin to understand that the very lack of friends is what has preserved your power. You didn't lose friends. You lost illusions. You didn't get abandoned. You got protected. The chosen ones often go through a divine pruning. Everything and everyone that can't support your next season is cut away. Not because you're being punished, but because your calling is too heavy to carry with extra baggage. And let's be honest, most people aren't ready to go where you're going. They love who you were, not who you're becoming. You're not meant to be accessible to everyone. Not everyone deserves front-row access to your transformation. That level of exposure can be dangerous when you're still healing. So the universe isolates you, not to punish, but to preserve. Let's go even deeper. Spiritual warfare is real. When you carry a divine assignment, forces of distraction, manipulation, and delay are sent to knock you off course. And sometimes, those forces wear the face of a friend. That's why you've been kept alone. Because your discernment is being trained. Because when your tribe does arrive, you'll know how to recognize the real ones. You'll sense loyalty in their silence. You'll feel truth in their presence. You'll trust without needing proof. Because real ones recognize real energy. No masks. No ego. Just raw alignment. But until then, the solitude remains. You'll notice how your energy intimidates even the people who claim to support you. You share a vision, and they subtly downplay it. You express a boundary, and suddenly they're distant. You choose yourself, and they call you selfish. That's not friendship. That's manipulation. And when you're chosen, you no longer tolerate fake peace just to keep fake people around. You've outgrown the need to belong where your soul doesn't breathe. You start realizing silence is better than shallow conversation. Being alone is better than being surrounded by people who drain your spirit. And walking alone in truth is far more peaceful than walking with a crowd in confusion. Because here's the ultimate twist. Your power doesn't come from being surrounded. It comes from being centered. And you can't find your center when your life is filled with noise. Chosen ones, you were born with an inner GPS that doesn't point toward comfort. It points toward calling. And calling requires clarity. That clarity only comes when you stop listening to the crowd and start listening to your Creator. That's why you've been stripped of false friends. That's why your phone stays silent. That's why the party invites stopped coming. That's why nobody checks in like they used to. Because this next version of you is no longer accessible to people who feed off your light, but never protect it. You've entered the wilderness phase of your destiny, and every major transformation begins in the wilderness. Look at the prophets, the visionaries, the spiritual warriors of history. They all walked alone before they walked in power. Loneliness is the tuition for greatness. Solitude is the soil where wisdom grows. So if you're crying at night wondering why no one gets you, remember, you're not supposed to be caught. You're supposed to be guarded until the time is right. Because your energy is sacred. Your presence is healing. Your thoughts carry truth. And your life is a message. Only a few will be able to receive it. Only a few will walk with you. But that few will be enough. And until then, your isolation is divine insulation.